It is the 7th leading cause of death in the United States, affecting over 25% of those over 65 years of age. Diabetes, tonight on Call with the Prairie Doc.
Starting this season, we are offering a Facebook Live option for our viewers to still be able to watch the show during the regular broadcast times on Thursday nights and ask questions. All you need is either your laptop, tablet, or a mobile device, such as your smartphone, to view the show. Here's how to do that. First, log into your Facebook account. If you don't have a Facebook account, go to facebook.com and complete the information to create an account. In the search bar, type in Prairie Doc. Make sure to click like on our Facebook page so you can get updates and notified when we are going live. Each Thursday on the Prairie Doc's page, you will be able to see a live broadcast of the newest episode. You can also ask Dr. Holm questions via Facebook Live. All you have to do is ask your question in the comment bar and await a response. If you miss a show live on Facebook, it will be available later both on the Prairie Doc Facebook site or at prairiedoc.org.
Good evening and welcome to On Call with the Prairie Doc. Blood sugar levels are a balancing act. You don't want them too high and you don't want them too low. Both ends can be deadly. We'll answer your questions about diabetes, how to keep it in check. These are generalists. These guys can answer any question, so let's get your questions about diabetes in particular, but we'll take anything. First, let's take a look at this week's Prairie Doc quiz question. Quiz question: which type of diabetes runs in families? Type 1 or type 2? Viewers who call in the correct answer will be entered into a drawing to win a signed copy of our book, The Picture of Health. Each of my essays originally written for this show comes with a wonderful accompanying photograph by Dr. Judith Peterson. We'll announce the answer and the winner at the end of the show. Remember, you only have 10 minutes to get your answers in. We answer your medical questions about diabetes as they are called in or sent to us via Facebook or email. Call in questions to 1-888-376-6225 or send us an email to the address on the screen. Joining us tonight is Dr. Ken Bartholomew and Dr. Phil Meyer, both with the Avera Medical Group in Pierre. Thank you both for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
And we should probably start with the youngest one first, and I'm going to just start with the guy with the lowest letter in the B in the alphabet, Kent. So, yeah, you're an interesting character. You worked for, where'd you start out?
Well, I went to the University of Utah for 4 years.
Are you originally from Utah?
No, I'm from Lemon, South Dakota.
Oh.
West River boy.
Okay.
And went to pre-med and med school at Utah, and then I did a year of family practice internship in Southern California, San Bernardino. Then I did a year of emergency medicine, same place. Then I moved to Falcon, South Dakota, where I practiced 14 years.
Wow.
Most of those years I was alone doing OB and some surgery and
everything.
Everything.
You know, C-sections?
Yeah, but when I did C-sections, I had a
surgeon
come down from Aberdeen.
Yeah. So, and then you moved to Pierre because you have a life and a family, and
I wanted a life.
Yeah, it was a huge thing.
Yeah, I was on call most of the time in those 14 years. I mean, it just got to be pretty old.
And this next week you're speaking to Johns Hopkins.
Yeah, I am.
But tell me about that, just real quick.
Well, in Falcon, I computerized my records back before most people even had computers with Dr. Larry Weed, who was the founder of the problem-oriented medical record.
I mean, while I was at Emory, Larry Weed was like the golden boy. I mean, we were bowing to him, and we changed everything at Emory to the Lawrence Weed problem-oriented medical record, electronic medical record system.
And he and I worked together, and I instituted his system. I was the first person in the country to institute his system. And this spring they asked him if he would come back and speak to the younger generation about his ideas on education, et cetera. And he said, I've just turned 93, I'm too old to travel. He says, why don't you have this
whippersnapper from Pierre, South
kid
Dakota?
from South Dakota come? And I'm going, sure.
So congratulations on that, and
Thank
I'm
you.
sure it'll be important. What is your maiden bottom line that you're going to tell them?
Well, it's about how we have to revamp the medical record the way the IT people have done it. It's all bells and whistles with no help for the patient.
The records are a mile long, and nobody
You can't
reads.
find anything. You can't find anything. They need to be streamlined back to the problem orientation.
And the history, the story of the patient needs to be revamped.
Yes,
Don't you agree? The
absolutely.
story is lost with this crap that we
Right.
have now. Do you agree with that, Phil?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Ken and I have had multiple conversations about this, and unfortunately, our profession, our industry is regulated like a lot of others, and the medical documentation, unfortunately, has become a lot about that and meeting requirements that are required by the federal governments rather than meeting requirements for the patient's care.
Yeah. And how to bill. I mean,
Billing
it's
and
really a
collections.
billing and collection thing. It's not about us
Sad.
Caring for a patient. It's sad.
It's the unfortunate evolution of electronic medical records. We still don't have it figured out.
No, it's got to be. I think you're going to have to throw it out and start over. So, but let's talk about you a little bit. You're originally you're a Nebraska boy, aren't you?
No, actually, I grew up in Winter, South Dakota.
Oh, you're a Winter kid.
We all rooted for the Huskers there, but I grew up in Winter, South Dakota.
And then you went to Nebraska.
Right. I actually did my medical schooling in Des Moines, and then I wound up at University of Nebraska for my internal medicine residency.
And that's where a lot of those. We dragged a bunch of Nebraska kids up to Pierre, didn't we?
Yeah, there was a following. Yes, we kind of recruited each other.
Yeah, there is a center of excellence in Pierre that people don't realize. I really mean that. That's really true. But, so you're a farm kid?
No, actually, I grew up in town. I'm a city boy. If you can be from Winter and be a city boy.
Yeah, you're a townie.
Right.
Yeah, what did your parents do?
My dad was in the grain buying business for years and years, and then he got into the real estate business, and my mom was a registered nurse and worked nights raising 10 kids.
10 kids? You have 9 siblings?
Yes.
Wow. Anybody else in medicine?
I have sisters that are nurses. I have sisters that is a rad tech. No other doctors, but
No, but
in medicine.
So, are you the oldest, the youngest?
I'm the youngest.
Oh, you're the spoiled one.
You got it.
The youngest is always spoiled. I
what
don't
they
care
say.
how. That's what it is.
I think Ken's the oldest of 8, maybe, or something.
No, I'm the middle of 11.
Oh, 11.
Holy Toledo.
Those Catholics, you know.
So, well, I think the major reason that I love having you guys here on a diabetes show is because you're the front line. I mean, we have endocrinologists, and we've had endocrinologists do this show multiple times. They've done great jobs. But they treat diabetics. They treat the tough cases, but the majority of diabetics are cared for by primary care doctors, family physicians, internists. And so that's what I thought we should do. Let's look at the internist point of view. So let's talk about the incidence of diabetes. What's happening with diabetes right now?
Clearly on a big climb. Type 2 diabetics in particular. And it goes along with the American lifestyle and the American diet, which is just too laden with grain-based starches, unlike a lot of other places on the globe that are primarily based on vegetable origin starch. We're too automated. We aren't physical enough. We sit too much, we're too sedentary. We have inordinate amounts of stress, but primarily it's about our weight and the types of things we put in our mouths.
And the food source. There's never been a time in history, ever, when the masses had that much food available.
And it just keeps rolling at them.
And that's the obesity. Instead of 1,500 to 2,000 calories a day, it's nothing to take in
3,000 to
4,000 calories a day.
Oh. And it's interesting. I did a history of 70-year. I did a study with 70-year-old people, 100 of them, and we looked at their lifestyle, and we encouraged them to exercise. One group were doing these special strengthening, stretching, balancing exercises. Another group just walked. But both groups got dietary education, and to get into the dietary education, we looked at people's calorie counts. And it's amazing, the thinner people ate 15 to 2,000. And I had students from the college in the room, And I had them go home and count their calories, and their calorie count, particularly the sports people, were in the 3,000 and 4,000. No
Absolutely.
question about it. 3,000 and 4,000 calories per day, and really that's not healthy. But I suppose if you're running,
If you're burning it off, that's different.
Yeah.
Like Michael Phelps was eating like 7,000 calories a day at times.
and he stayed
but
relatively.
he burned it all off.
Yeah.
And some would argue that even if you're burning it off, that you're still taxing your pancreas to
load.
produce insulin.
Yeah.
the
Especially
load.
if your diet's high in carbohydrates, like a lot of athletes eat.
Right. So I throw this question at you. No matter what we do, every effort that we try to do short of surgery, gastric bypass surgery, kind of what I had with this Whipple procedure for pancreatic disease, that aside from the surgery, at 1 year and at 5 years, the weight loss is unsuccessful. Every effort that we can try to get, they'll lose weight if they go on these diets and these supplements and so on and so forth, but then they gain it back. And I know that one of the things that we aim for is weight loss. My thinking is we should change our aim for is not weight loss, it's eating less, and if your body doesn't lose it, okay, but you're eating less. Now, what's your take on that?
True, if they can eat less, if they will. But I honestly think it's about 2 or 3 out of 100 that actually do it. Now, I had a gentleman who just was in for his annual. In the last 2 years, he's lost 53 pounds, and he did not change his diet one bit, except he gave up breads.
He gave up bread and he lost
He
weight.
gave up breads, and he lost 53 pounds in 2 years. He ate all the other stuff like he always ate. He just quit
Cut out
bread.
bread.
And that just shows you what Phil was saying earlier about
carbohydrate.
all the carbs.
Right.
We used to say fats is the bad actor, and now we've changed our.
And we were wrong.
We were wrong.
We weren't. They were.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think there's really two commonly accepted types of metabolism, if you can use that word. Those who are more fat sensitive and those who are more starch sensitive. And clearly people who are genetically prone to be type 2 diabetics are really sensitive to the weight gaining properties and the other toxic effects of white, starchy, processed foods.
Carbohydrates.
Right. And not that fats are good for you, but fats aren't necessarily the enemy.
No, it's interesting. I have a friend who is a vegetarian. He read a book, The China Connection or something, and a dear friend. And what he is was overweight, and he just went vegetarian, and he lost weight, but it wasn't rapid. I mean, it's been a 5-year process, and he's just dropped down to a normal level. And he truly thinks that it's the protein in his diet. I think it was the less calories in his diet.
Yeah.
And it all ends there, right? I mean, we can come up with all kinds of ways to lose weight, but all of them end in the same place, calorie reduction.
Yeah.
And so much about how we eat is the way we were raised. It's habit, it's learned behavior.
When people say, I don't eat a thing, but I can't lose weight, I always just look them in the eye and I say, you ask any rancher, if he doesn't feed the calf, he'll never fatten up for market.
Yeah, that's it. That's a
You have
kind
to
of a
have,
South Dakota way
you
of
have
putting
to
it.
have food to gain weight.
Yeah.
Period.
But I know there's some data to say there's something metabolically going on. I mean, I want you to know I'm eating like crazy, and I lost 20 pounds, and it's partly this gastric
The
bypass.
inefficiency of your
My
GI system.
Yeah, and I'm eating pancreatic enzymes like crazy to try to so that the food gets absorbed, but
But that's not a normal GI tract.
no, it is not a normal
Right.
GI tract. So we need to talk about these things, and we're going to get more into it. And we really want your questions, and we'll talk to that about it in a minute. But let's do this. Whenever you are diagnosed with diabetes, and no matter which type, it's important to act on the information to keep your blood sugar level controlled. And as in many things in life, a good attitude helps.
Back when I was a college student, I went home over Christmas break and I had lost a significant amount of weight and I had extreme thirst and I had all kinds of the classic symptoms of type 1 diabetes. But at the time we thought I was just allergic to some sort of food, couldn't really figure it out, and then my mom pinpointed one day, she said, "I think you have diabetes, we're taking you to a doctor," and turns out she was right. When I was diagnosed, I had a blood sugar of 789 when normal is between 80 and 120. When you're first diagnosed, you have to be really careful about what you eat, the medicines you're taking, how much insulin you're taking, different things like that, because they want you to be regulated. Well, now that I've been doing this for about 3 years, I've kind of slacked off a little bit because the doctors kind of gave me the go-ahead, like as long as you know what you're eating in terms of how many carbohydrates, as long as you're giving yourself accurate doses of insulin to keep your blood sugar under control, you can do that. There are millions of people with type 1 diabetes, but no two persons experience is the same. For me, the hardest part of dealing with type 1 diabetes is getting low blood sugars. I consistently get low blood sugars because with activity or stress lowers my blood sugar, so I never know what my day is gonna look like. I actually got an insulin pump pretty early compared to other people who are diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I got one probably 6 or 8 months after I was diagnosed, when normally they say like year minimum. With an insulin pump, it's consistently giving you background insulin to try and maintain your blood sugars as they are, and then instead of giving yourself a shot whenever you eat, you just press certain buttons and then it will give you insulin that way. Another benefit of a pump is you can wear a sensor that can automatically measure your blood sugars, and some people choose to wear it and some people don't. I do have one, but I personally like still sticking myself and measuring my blood sugar that way because I think it's a lot more accurate. And with a pump, you can have smaller increments of insulin, whereas when you're using shots or pens, they're larger increments of insulin, so there's a lot more room for error. So with a pump, my treatment is a lot more accurate and a lot more consistent. One piece of advice that I have for type 1 diabetics or people who have any form of disease or pretty much any form of struggle is you need 2 things: a good attitude and a good support system. Because you can have all the right tools to treat your disease and to help yourself, but if you don't have a good attitude about it and if you don't have people who support you around you to help you do that, all of this is a waste.
So she made a point that was quite interesting about low sugars, and she's on a pump. She's a type 1 diabetic. And so what's your take on low sugars, Ken?
Well, for type 1s, they are going to want to have a little tighter control than type 2s. They have more complications long term. Now, my dad was a diabetic. I don't know if I ever told you this story, but he was a pharmacist, and he got diabetes at 10. And Banting and Best had just run their experiment. His dad was a physician. He got him on insulin at age 10. Back then, they had needles like that big, and he was giving himself 4 shots of regular a day.
Yeah.
And he stayed athletic. He always kept his weight trim. He worked out. He lived to be 67, and that was unheard of back then. So, yes, tight control for a type 1 is important. He had a lot of insulin reactions, but for type 2, the interesting thing is that they did a big study. I think there were like 4 studies, and the tight control group, when they followed these people, they were all over 65, I believe, but they were all Medicare age. And the people who had the good control, called tight control, and the people who had the okay control, this group died 8 months sooner than this group.
Than the okay control. And
the tight control is bad for you. Too tight is bad because they would have insulin or low sugars, they would fall down, they would break a hip, break a shoulder. Some of them got subdural hematomas because they cracked their head. So in the long run, it didn't pay off.
Right, I've heard that. I also believe in type 1, like our patient that we discussed this, who addressed it. Every time it goes too low, it turns on the counter-regulatory system, and then your sugars the next morning are too high, and you think, oh, I need more insulin, and they get more trouble. And the Smogy effect.
And in fact, the day my dad died, we were pheasant hunting, and that morning he had had 2 severe insulin reactions, so severe that I had to give him a shot of glucose.
Right.
And then he died out in the field of a heart attack. And it releases all that adrenaline and sets up a cardiac
Well, I think
scenario.
That if you're a diabetic and you're having reactions, change, get back. You don't want want no reactions.
He didn't know that back then, but we do know it now.
Yeah. Any take on that? I mean, your comments.
I always tell my patients that the low blood sugar is like a rubber ball, and the harder it drops, the higher it bounces. And so,
Oh, wow. Nice way of putting it.
we call it rebound hyperglycemia, right? That's how we learned it. But you know, your liver's response to a low blood sugar is to produce a whole bunch of glucose.
Right.
And your instructions as a diabetic with a low sugar is to consume glucose, and typically something quick, like orange juice. And so the end result of that is going to be a sugar of 350. And at the end of 90 days, that's going to be an increase in your A1C. Over the years, I've heard people tell me that they felt they were under good control because they occasionally have lows because they're so low all the time, and not understanding that that's a negative thing. It requires a lot of education.
Right.
The other thing about low blood sugars is it's probably the single most damaging thing to the retina.
Really?
Yes, low blood sugar and rebound hyperglycemia is really damaging on the retina. It's been shown to be to correlate with a lot of the microvascular changes.
Well, the bleeding that they have in the back of the eye. I truly say to every diabetic that I've cared for, I have said, no sugar reactions. We want no lows, 0 lows. And when you're having low, we need to talk. We need to get back off on the insulin. Well, we've got questions. I love the questions. This is your show. Your questions are the key to our discussion. Give us your call, 1-888-376-6225. Call us or email to ask@prairiedoc.org. We have a question. A 69-year-old woman asks if they can discuss prediabetes. Phil.
You know, prediabetes has gone by a lot of names over the years. Syndrome X, dysmetabolic syndrome, but the recognition of prediabetes has grown from the diabetes type 2 epidemic. At some point, we decided we needed a better way of identifying these people who are prone to developing type 2 diabetes. And it's a constellation of things to include central obesity, which is something I don't think a lot of us think about.
Big belly obesity rather
Correct.
than hip and
Or leg.
thigh obesity.
As apple-shaped as opposed to pear-shaped
Right,
obesity.
Right.
And we've known that people who accumulate fat in the central distribution have a different kind of fat cell than people who don't. And when Ken and I were in medical school, I think we were probably both taught that fat cells were inert, didn't do anything.
Yeah.
They were
Storage.
a lipid storage
Container.
cells.
Yeah.
And now we know that the fat cells that people accumulate in their abdominal cavity are active, and they produce toxins that produce plaque in your arteries, and so on and so forth.
And even make them more prone to cancer, I believe.
Correct. And so the pre-diabetic is a person who fits a number of criteria, and the most measurable one being a blood sugar of greater than 110 fasting.
But
or
not as high as 127.
27.
Is the
127.
exact number. You know what? The obsessive compulsiveness of diabetes rubs off on the diabetic teachers who say it's less than 127. That's a little bit obsessive.
I agree. So a 126
Thank you.
and you're okay?
Yeah.
But people who have a fasting lab done at a health screen or what have you, who score in that 111 to 115 range, it is a mechanism for us to give these people a heads up and tell them, hey, you're not a diabetic, but you're in the gray zone.
Right.
You're knocking on the door. You need to change some things.
Right.
It's
And
a motivator.
Okay, so
you're-
motivate.
and
So
you're
Ken, what do we
heading-
motivate them to do?
It's got to be diet and exercise to start with.
It's lifestyle.
It is lifestyle, and it's so hard for people to do. But these great statistics that came out of the studies in the last 15 years really show it. Now you take a drug that's $300 a month, and you drop your A1C 1 point. Okay, so you drop it from 8 to 7.
Right.
For $300 a month. You can almost do the same thing with diet and exercise. The people who walked for 30 minutes, 5 days a week, plus did 3 days of that week spread out how they wanted of some kind of strengthening exercises. So the walkers dropped their A1C by 0.4 or 0.43, you know, and the exercisers did 0.3. And if you add those together, that should drop you by 0.75, right?
Right.
But when they did both, they dropped it by 0.93 or something like that. So it's almost the same as a drug, and it's free.
It's free.
It's free. And
It's
people
and
won't
less
do
food. It's cheaper.
it. Yes.
Cheaper.
And then you save money on food.
And what's more, you feel better. I mean, you feel stronger.
Absolutely.
The walk 30 minutes a day. For goodness sake, we can all do it. We should all do it. I'm doing it.
And it increases your blood flow, and it helps all of your other organs too.
Yeah.
It's not just the sugar, it's
Right.
all your other organs.
Not to mention, it's a great stress reducer.
I mean, actually, that's why I exercise. Is because the biggest reason is because it brings me out of the funk. Yeah. So we have questions we should jump into. Thank you for your questions. Keep them coming. Caller from Sioux Falls wants to know if you have large babies over 8 pounds, does that always predispose you to diabetes, or does it mean that you have diabetes, or what does that mean, Phil?
Well, your baby's weight certainly, and I don't treat babies for a living, but your baby's weight certainly makes your child more prone to diabetes. But gestational diabetes is related to birth weight, I believe. I'm going to defer that.
correct.
Right, and you're the family physician. I should ask you, actually.
Well, no, if you have
A baby greater than 10 pounds?
Yeah, if you have high blood sugars during your pregnancy, that's going to feed that baby, is the way I think about it, and that baby grows more. So you have big babies and you're prone. You'll probably have some high sugars in there and maybe some protein in your urine too, depending on how that pregnancy goes.
Well, the OBGYNs are just, talk about obsessive compulsive. They just go bananas when the mother is a diabetic, and they have tight control, and they get them walking. So there it is. But the diagnosis of diabetes is made when that baby is greater than 10 pounds. You know that mother's diabetic. I mean, that's how it goes. Anything else that we need to say about this? Good. Caller from Hill City notes that when her son, who has type 1 diabetes, was a teenager, he rebelled against his illness. That's a real common deal.
Wow.
And didn't want to follow any of the diabetic protocols. Is this common? Please offer suggestions for others that might experience this problem.
It's common, and especially the teenage groups. It's like unfair, and they'll learn as they grow up that life isn't fair. But I think the best thing that they can do is find a mentor who's had diabetes and can kind of like coach them.
Right, I mean, their parents' OCD on that, or they're obsessive, trying to control it because they want the best for their child, drives them to rebel. Any other comment?
I agree. I mean, hard enough to be a teenager, let alone a chronically ill teenager with a disease that requires you to behave differently, eat differently than everyone around you. I think that's very common.
And my sense is counseling.
I would recommend that they get a diabetic friend,
Educator.
coach, if they could, who has diabetes and can tell them, look, I've been through this, and here's how I would do it. My dad used to do that. When he would hear of someone getting juvenile diabetes, he would drive all the way across the state and meet with them back in the 50s and 60s.
I imagine he was quite a guy.
He was.
A caller from Flandreau wants to know what happens if the blood sugar falls while sleeping.
That's one of the most precarious situations we get into. And it oftentimes is what drives the manipulation of our pharmaceutical regimens. We will have patients who can tell us about it, and we'll have patients who can't, which is the most dangerous scenario. Right. The longer a person is a diabetic, the more they lose that sense of hypoglycemia. And so maybe somebody doesn't wake up from sleep, they're in a coma, they're in an encephalopathic state, or they wake up because they're cold and clammy at 3 a.m. And so in that situation, I'll oftentimes have my patients set an alarm for 3 a.m. and check a blood sugar for a few nights just to see where they are. And in that scenario, in general, if they're on a basal insulin, a long-acting insulin, the dose needs to be reduced, or the dosage needs to be moved to the first part of the day.
Right. I kind of like to give the long-acting insulin in the mornings. That one study in the Annals of Internal Medicine suggested that they did better, and you didn't have these nighttime Somoji effects.
Right.
The sugars drop. Other clues that they're having a Somoji effect. I've had people come in and say, I'm having nightmares. Or that I think the major thing that you described was adrenaline overload that happens in the night.
Night sweats.
Yeah, they wake up with a drench in their clothes, or twitching. Sometimes they'll twitch and wake themselves up or wake their spouse up. But if they're sleeping alone and have no symptoms,
You don't know.
they don't know.
And then sometimes, well, and the next thing you know is in the morning, what is their sugar in the morning? It's sky high because their counter-regulatory kicks in. And so what's the next
The
thing
ball
they do?
bounced.
Right.
They hit
They
more.
may be having rebound hyperglycemia, but the mistake we can make is to interpret that as not enough insulin.
Right. And then you
Increase
compound
their
the problem.
morning insulin, and then you drop later.
yeah, trouble. Let's do this. While South Dakota ranks 47th in the population, we have a widely spread and diverse community. This variation extends to the causes and treatments of diabetes.
My own personal belief is that we probably don't, because it is a low-key disease. I look at things like strokes and heart attacks and trauma and infectious disease outbreaks. They draw headlines, but you know, if you say that the incidence of diabetes has gone up 2% in the last year, that really doesn't get people's attention to quite the degree. If you said there were, you know, cases of Ebola virus, for instance, that would, you know, one case of that would get you a lot more attention than thousands of cases of diabetes. But that's just how it is. Our incidence is just as high or higher than the national average, and our Native American population is at greater risk for developing the disease and the complications from that. Our resources for educating people with diabetes is limited to some degree by our geography. We have a number of communities that are remote and small, and so getting support for folks with diabetes is difficult to do sometimes in rural areas. In terms of chronic disease, diabetes ranks up at or near the top of a disease process that's going to affect a huge number of our country, and the numbers of those that have the disease seem to be growing over time. In the long run, that's the aim for control of diabetes is to prevent complications. We measure the control of diabetes by the amount of glucose in the blood, and over time, if it runs higher than average, your risk is greater for involvement of your eyes, your kidneys, heart disease, stroke, complications of your circulation in your legs, and that can lead to ulcerations and sores and significant problems down the line if it's not controlled. This program that I went through, the Better Choices, Better Health, allowed me to go both as a patient and a provider. I still to this day do take care of patients that have diabetes, and looking at it from both aspects allowed me a little broader view of things, that when I was merely prescribing treatment for diabetes, I didn't realize what it was like once they walked out the door and had to do all these things that I recommended. And so it was interesting to hear patients discuss what they took away from their encounter with their provider, and so I got to look at it from both sides, and that's not something I'd done historically. So that was my take on it, that it was a whole new outlook on what happens when you're in the patient's chair rather than the provider's chair.
Well, we thank Dr. Schrader from Miller, who is actually the director of the Foundation for Medical Care and really one of those surveying organizations that works with the national leaders and CMS. And he came to us and said, let's do a show on diabetes. And we said, Dr. Schrader, of course we'll do this show because it's so important. And his comments about the value of realizing the importance of a lifestyle and this kind of thing, and his suggestions about connecting with those places that we showed online is important. Any other comments about Dr. Schrader's just what a joy we have to have the foundation that pushes for education for the public, and it's a wonderful thing.
Very good.
You know, he commented about the amount of information that we give people and how we really don't recognize that we're overloading them. You know, we're speaking about something that we see every day, and we're talking to people who know a lot, but they've not really known this.
You're right.
And I guess when I diagnose a new diabetic, I try to take it slowly and go in small steps and try to send them with the important message of, you really need to arm yourself with information. Your information is the most important weapon you have against this disease. Get educated. And if I were a new diabetic and Ken Bartholomew told me that I couldn't do this, this, and this as far as food, I would want him to send me directly to a registered dietitian to learn what I can eat.
Yeah.
And for meal planning, I need ideas.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people know what's good and what's bad when they look at the table and when they go to the grocery store. It's ideas for healthy eating that they need. And I think everybody needs a solid start with a registered dietitian.
Yeah, I agree. And she's going to say, and it's usually a she, but it could have been a he.
Right.
He or she, it's going to say, more vegetables. We need to eat more vegetables. Ken.
I would just echo what he said. We're lucky in Pierre that we've got 2 nurses who've taken advanced training for diabetic education, and then we've got the dietitians at the hospital. So we've got that good core unit to help with. When I was in the small town,
There was none
we
of
had
that.
none of that.
Yeah. Diabetic educator, you know, Pierre has it, Brookings has it, you know, we have, they are there to help you. And you know, your doctor, your primary care provider, your NP or PA should be able to give you time if you need it. Make the time, set up the appointment if you have questions and so on. How does krill oil affect diabetes, and should we take it? So, krill oil, anybody?
You know, krill oil is a source of omega-3 fatty acids.
Right, it's
Like
fish oil kind of.
fish oil, it's just another version of one of those things. So are nuts and avocados and some other foods that are high in omega-3.
Ground flaxseed.
Right, ground flaxseed. And omega-3 has some benefits, primarily in lowering triglycerides. And as a diabetic, especially a type 2 diabetic, one produces a lot of triglyceride. Triglyceride in and of itself is a fat that's primarily generated by sugars and alcohol as opposed to dietary fat. And in and of itself produces problems like pancreatitis and maybe a risk factor for stroke independently in men. And krill oil can help lower that, but I don't know of anything else unique about krill and diabetes.
Yeah, my answer is there's no data, right? I mean,
Right.
I don't think there's any science.
I don't think there's any data about it.
We do have data that say fish eaters do better.
But not fish oil takers.
Right.
We don't have that data. I kind of like pushing fish, but if you won't eat fish, maybe fish oil, you know, but push fish. Eat the deep sea fishes in particular. See if you can get it 3 times a week or two times a week anyway. Here's a question about the healthy range for sugar levels and big swings between day and night. You know, what is the healthy range?
Well, you'd like to see your fastings no lower than 80. They used to say 70, but they upped it to 80 when they saw the data about the low sugars.
Right.
And you know, so you'd like to see that early morning sugar between about 80 and 130, and then the midday, say 2 hours after lunch, certainly no higher than 200, and they preferably say less than 180.
Yeah. Any addition to that, Phil?
Those are the guidelines that I use. And I ask patients if they've had a low blood sugar. The definition of a low blood sugar is less than 80.
Yeah.
I mean, 40 is what some people regard as a low blood sugar, but
We actually
really
used to tell
75 is
them
a
if it's
problem.
not less than 50, it's probably no big deal, but we were taught wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like the new data that says that monitoring your sugars carefully, there's no data to say that it makes a difference. What matters is if you're having reactions, you know you're low. Don't let that happen. And if your sugars, hemoglobin A1C, which is a 3-month average of your highs, is more than 8, then you need to start working on it. But don't push it below 6.5, probably. Particularly if you're an older person.
Particularly elderly. Their A1C can be less than 9, and they're probably okay.
A 57-year-old man from Mitchell has type 2 diabetes. I was put on the food map diet, or the FODMAP diet, and my doctor was really surprised that my A1C levels went down to 7.1 from 8, and he told me to keep on that diet. Whatever you're doing involves gluten and lactose-free practice. Any thought about gluten or lactose-free?
You know, the FODMAPs diet, which is an acronym, and I'm not going to be able to tell you what it completely stands for, but it's a certain type of fermentable oligosaccharide.
Okay.
So these are starches that are found in certain foods that just also happen to be very high in fructose most of the time. Some vegetables, but a lot of fruits. And it was born out of research on irritable bowel syndrome. And the FODMAPs diet, turns out if you follow a FODMAPs, which is really an elimination diet, an avoidance diet,
Right.
your IBS will do better.
And what are you eliminating in that FODMAP study?
There are certain vegetables that seemingly are healthy, like broccoli, that's eliminated in that diet because it has too many of these fermentable saccharides.
Oh.
Cherries, watermelon.
You're eliminating those things.
You are, and those are sugars. Those are fruits that are very high in fructose sugar anyway, that are probably going to help a diabetic. Would it help a diabetic to eat a FODMAPs diet? Indirectly, probably yes. Although they're probably eliminating some things that they could eat.
Yeah.
Because they don't have celiac disease and don't have irritable bowel syndrome. They're probably eliminating some things they could have.
I think my take home on what is the best diabetic diet is a balanced diet of fruits and vegetables. Try to avoid the processed foods, less breads, less noodles. I hate to say that. And go in the direction of cutting back on the carbohydrates, lots of fiber,
Lean meats,
and
keep your calories down.
keep the calorie count down.
Yep.
You agree?
I agree.
All right. Not FODMAPs, but a balanced, reasonable diet with more. What about fresh vegetables versus canned vegetables? Any comments, Ken?
I don't know of any data that says there's a difference, I guess.
I think Consumers Report said that they're as good or better when they're canned, except they have more salt in them. That's it. I mean, and if you sit out in the fresh vegetable aisle for a day, it loses its vitamins. So almost better canned. And if you're not hypertensive and you're not worried about heart failure, you can take the salt. I think that we realize it's just vegetables that matters. Get the vegetables. Frozen is good. Fresh is good.
Fresh frozen.
Vegetables is really good.
And I'll have diabetics who come in all the time and say, well, I'm eating a lot of fruits and vegetables because they're healthy and their sugar's 320.
Yeah.
I say, yes. Why do the fruits taste so good? Because they're full of sugar.
Yes. And
So
you're eating too many calories.
Too many of them, yes.
Too many. Are there any medications that diabetics should be cautious about that may exacerbate low sugars? This is a Facebook question, thank you, from Brittany in Highmore.
Well, there's a lot of
Hypoglycemia, what foods that may exacerbate?
medications
Foods
or
or
foods.
men's?
Oh, any medications
Medication.
that diabetics should be?
Because if it was, I was going to defer that question to Ken if that's what it truly asked. There's a host of medications that can cause hypoglycemia,
Low sugars.
low sugar. Insulin, of course, and anything that functions like insulin, like our old sulfonylurea class that includes names that diabetics have all heard of: glipizide, glimepiride, glucotrol, microzide. Those drugs are classically going to cause hypoglycemia in addition to insulin.
If you overuse them and that type of
Well,
thing.
if you don't eat. Okay, so a person on a long-acting drug like that or a long-acting insulin chooses to skip lunch, they're apt to get into trouble.
Yeah. There you go. We've got
Whereas metformin, the most commonly used one that's been shown to do the most good for diabetics, doesn't tend to cause low sugars.
Right. So metformin, number one, very best drug we got.
Even if you
cheap,
take insulin, you still take metformin.
and it helps cut out your diet. I
baseline.
mean, your diet, eat less as a result of it. Metformin, good drug.
And almost every other medication approved for diabetes does not cause hypoglycemia or low sugar.
The new
newer
drugs.
Right.
We're short. We've got 3 questions, but I want a quick answer. The new drugs, they're very expensive. Are they good? Very good.
There are some that have more benefits than others. There's a surprise class of drugs, in my opinion, the SGLT inhibitors, and this is a class of medications that does an end around on the pathophysiology. I didn't really like this class of drugs because it really doesn't address the root cause of diabetes.
Yeah.
But as time's gone by, we've learned that this class of drugs doesn't just lower sugar, but it also can maybe reduce risk of cardiovascular events, which is a big surprise.
Right.
And that's the group that makes you dump sugar into your urine.
Right. So
And
what are
you
examples
actually
of them?
get rid of it.
What's an example?
Farxiga,
Jardiance,
Jardiance.
Right. Okay, so we've got 4 questions in 3 minutes.
Invokana, 3 in that class. I had to
Invokana.
mention it. Sorry.
Got it. 68-year-old man from Centerville notes, when I have my yearly physicals, my glucose count is usually 110 to 118. I exercise, eat healthy. Do you suggest anything else? Should I be concerned?
Just do the diet and exercise that we talked about. You don't need drugs at that level, but you're at risk.
Just keep
Cut your
exercising.
calories.
This guy's in the gray zone.
Yeah.
He's in that
He's
gray
a
zone between.
pre-diabetic.
He's a pre-diabetic, and his #1 weapon is being at his ideal weight.
Okay. 37-year-old man from Sioux Falls reports that he's lost about 100 pounds. I am pre-diabetic. How much have I increased my chances of holding off diabetes, and is there a genetic component?
He has increased his chances of staving off diabetes immensely.
Immensely.
Immensely. He's gotten rid
Good
of,
work.
He's gotten rid of all those fat cells that Phil was talking about that are actually metabolically active against him.
Okay.
He's done more good than any pharmaceutical we can give him.
More than any drug we can give him, he has done.
Good work, good work. Keep up the exercise, keep up the lifestyle changes, and
Excellent
if we
job.
could all get people to do that, lots of it. Caller from Webster asked the guest to discuss diet pop versus regular pop in relationship to diabetes.
Well, regular pop should be out because that's just a pure sugar load.
And it doesn't satisfy. You know, fluid in your gut just doesn't say, oh, I've had this much sugar.
Now, there's all these things going around on the web about diet pops, but I would challenge anyone to show me any science that say they're bad for you. I say if you like that taste better than water, go ahead and have a diet pop if that's what you like, as long as you don't have the sugar pop.
Well, in a case of aspartame, pop might be harmful. I mean, Consumer Reports suggest if you're going to do the Splenda rather than the aspartame. 20 seconds, last question. Does developing diabetes get rid of asthma?
No.
I mean, I haven't heard that before, have you?
No.
No.
I mean, asthma gets, this
No,
guy got diabetes and his asthma went away. Any clue? I don't know. I can't get it. We have no answer. And now for the winner of tonight's Prairie Doc quiz question. Which type of diabetes runs in families, type 1 or type 2? Gentlemen?
Type 2.
The answer is type 2. It was Bill Keese from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, who answered the question correctly. Thank you, Bill, for participating, and a book will be in the mail to you soon. We'll be right back after this.
Because they want you to be there for the many milestones yet to come. Because you don't want to miss out on the little things. There are many reasons to get life-saving cancer screenings. 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in her lifetime. But regular self-exams and mammograms can catch it early when it's most treatable.
Promise?
Promise.
Promise.
Promise. Promise.
Make the promise to get screened. Do it for the people you love. For more information about life-saving screenings or available financial assistance, visit getscreenedsd.org.
In 1735, young religious leader John Wesley visited Savannah in the province of Georgia in the American colonies and described Native Americans as the perfect example of health. He correctly believed this was mostly due to their lean diet and rigorous physical lifestyle. What's happened since has deeply affected not only the American Indian, but also the white and multi-ethnic settlers of this country, as advancements in technology have taken away the need for hard daily physical activity. The American public has been taking it easy, letting the wheels and motors do the walking. We have become a country of couch potatoes and TV watchers. The work functional need for physical activity has lessened with time, but as we do less, we become less able to be physically active, which encourages us to do even less. At the same time, diets have changed with the availability of government-subsidized and inexpensive oil, flour, corn syrup, and cheese. This has made highly marketed, high-calorie, high-carbohydrate fast food our dietary staple, rather than the lean meat, fruits, eggs, and vegetables, which had been the traditional American Indian diet. While eating more and moving less, the consequence is an epidemic of obesity. 2 out of 3 Americans are overweight, and half of these are obese. It's no surprise that an epidemic of diabetes has followed. Right now, 29 million Americans know they have diabetes, and about 1 in 4 people with diabetes have it but don't know it. Although this epidemic is affecting non-Indian immigrants that have come to live in the U.S., diabetes is about twice as bad for the American Indian population. This is a radical change from the 1700s, when Indians were looked upon as representing the epitome of health. Of course, every individual is responsible for their own actions, but who killed their buffalo? Who taught them to make donuts like fry bread? Who's responsible for their economic suppression? How can we address the rising diabetic epidemic for all? It should start with something more than developing and prescribing diabetic medicine. One recent study showed that educating children and parents about eating less and moving more makes the biggest difference in preventing and treating diabetes. Our job as medical care providers and as a society should be to spread this knowledge, encouraging everyone to eat a leaner diet and live a more physically active lifestyle. We all could learn from the habits of the early American Indians. A big thank you to our guests, Dr. Ken Bartholomew and Phil Meyer, for traveling to our studio from Pierre on their own dime. They brought great advice to our discussion tonight. Well, the flu season is upon us. There have been 3 new confirmations this week, bringing the season total to 12 with 1 hospitalization. It may not sound like a lot, but there will be many more to follow. If you haven't done so yet, go get your vaccination. Speaking of the flu, after over 19 years on the job, the South Dakota State epidemiologist, Dr. Lon Keitlinger, has retired. Lon has been a great friend of On Call with the Prairie Doc and a true friend in general. While Lon was state epidemiologist, South Dakota's rate of immunization for children entering kindergarten has been 100%, according to the CDC. While we'll miss having Dr. Keitlinger to call on in Pierre, he isn't just going sailing. He's joining the Peace Corps and will probably be in Madagascar, where, by the way, there is an outbreak of plague. Stay safe, Lon, and thank you. Well, that does it for tonight. From all of us here at On Call with the Prairie Doc and our gentle friends from Pierre, until next time, stay healthy out there, people.
What comes around goes around. Infectious diseases, common and unusual. Next time, On Call with the Prairie Doc.
Major funding for On Call with the Prairie Doc has been provided by
Avera is a proud sponsor of On Call on South Dakota Public Broadcasting.
Larson Manufacturing is proud to support On Call Television as it continues to open doors for important medical information.
and by the South Dakota Foundation for Medical Care, the Medicare Quality Improvement Organization for South Dakota, and the ongoing support of these individuals and institutions. Brookings Health System. Ophthalmology Limited, Avera Heart Hospital, Dakota Allergy and Asthma, Fishback Financial Corporation, Vance Thompson Vision, Aberdeen District Medical Society, Black Hills Medical Society, 3rd District Medical Society, Brookings, Madison, and Flandreau, Dakota Bank, Orthopedic Institute, Physicians Care Sanford Clinic Community Service Committee, and Swiftel Communications.